Hi guys, so today let's get started with how to store commenting part in an local storage API provided by HTML5 feature. So I said a lot of technical jargon words, so let me explain in simple words what I mean. To show you what I mean, so if I open my file that is index.html which we developed in previous tutorials, quite a few tutorials. So if I add a new comment, I will choose any date and I will put hi. Then if I add a comment, then you can see at the bottom side a new section would be added with this data. Now the problem is that okay, our code is working fine. Now if I refresh this page again, so this last data which I added will not be there anymore. So I want that this data should be persistent. So to make it persistent, we have to use some kind of a storage system. And this local storage is a feature that is provided in HTML file that makes it possible. So local storage is embedded in all the browsers, that is Chrome, Safari. You don't have to use any external plugin to do it. But in Internet Explorer, make sure that when the code is running, it should be IE 9 plus. In Chrome and Safari and Firefox, it works fine. So, having said that, let's get started with our hands dirty in coding part. To use the local storage API feature of HTML, go ahead and open script.js file. And those people who are directly watching this video, go ahead. I have made a playlist of each and every code and I have described it there how to develop this system. Go ahead, check that out first tutorial and then come back to this tutorial so that you will have clear understanding. So at the top part, to use local storage HTML5 API, we have to use local storage term. So I will have to write if my local storage is already is not having a property of comment data, right, then I have to define the property first. So I will define local storage dot comment data to be initialized to be an empty array. And if make sure that var comment I will make this at top, and I will not initialize anything. And if local storage is defined, then what I will do, I will in the comment I will parse my, because I am storing my data as a JSON object, so I will parse my data whatever stored in the comment data. I think I have confused you all, so let me describe it here. So if first time you are running the code, or first time if you are running the application, so if it will see in local storage API that whether the comment data property is defined. If it is not defined, then it will define it and initialize it with an empty array. And if it is defined, then we know that in this comment data we would be storing JSON object. So if you store in local storage, you have to store it in string format. So since now I want to have it as a JSON object when I'm storing it in my local comment variable, that is why I am using JSON parse. And whatever data is there, just bring that data and pass it as a JSON object and store it in a comment variable. Now after doing this, So I think so our code is now proper. The only part is that now when you are adding the object, right, so now you have to store it in local storage common data property, right? So to do that, you have already used comment.push. Now what you can do basically is, now you can use this local storage dot common data, which is equal to, I told you when you are storing anything in local storage it should be in string format. So right now this comment is an JSON object because we are parsing it as an JSON pass, so I have to convert it into string. So I have to use JSON dot stringify, so it will stringify all the objects, and I have to use comment. Okay, now save this file, and I think so that should do the trick for you. Very less change, and now you have the database also with you. So if I refresh this, you don't see any item right now, but if I add any item, because right now our local storage of common data property was not defined, so it is now defined as an empty array. So if I select my any date and part, add a comment, something got wrong. So to debug it, I will see, okay, I think so we have some error. Cannot read property of length undefined. Okay, so the problem is that right now it doesn't know that it's an array, right? So because length property is defined in an array, so what I will do, I will just initialize it with an empty array. I'm sorry, in the comment part I will just initialize with an empty array. Save this file, run this file. You don't see any error right now. Now if I add it, you could see that the data is there and the image is also loaded. So if I add another comment, you can see that the data is there. Now if I refresh this, you could see that the data is now available, right? So next time if I am adding it, let's suppose any name I am adding, saving it. Now if I refresh this, you could see that all the data is there and it is now storing in the local storage. Now if I close this browser and if I run this again at any point of time, you could see that still the data is there, right? So this is what the powerful concept of local storage is. If you have heard the term in website that there is an caching, then it's a best example of that because you are caching the data. However, in the browser, if you want to see this data where the data is getting stored, so what you can do, you can right click, go to inspect, go into resources, and here you have local storage. When you expand that and when you click on it, see here you have comment data available, and everything is now in JSON, right? Everything is an JSON object, right? So here only the data is lost, and when you delete this and again when you refresh, you could see that the data is all gone, and now you can type and again it will store it in the local storage. So this is what the powerful benefit of local storage is. I hope you found this tutorial useful. It may be confusing at first time, but if you watch this video again and again, you will get the concept for local storage API provided by HTML5. I think so that's it for today's tutorial. Thank you for watching this. Have a nice weekend. Bye everyone.